Welcome to Once Upon a Coin, documenting the ongoing history of blockchain and cryptocurrency. And as always, I'm your storyteller, Jason Cassidy. Every so often, someone will show up in the cryptocurrency world and they'll make an undeniable impact. Now, with an industry that is this big and having such a short attention span, standing out amongst the crowd is not an easy feat to pull off. Well, we're about to look at what happened when the blockchain space got a 2-for-1 special in this department. And the industry? Well, it's never really been the same ever since. This is the story of the Winklevoss twins.
Sun cast a shadow, a digital line is coming over the mountain and over your mind. Double down your Bitcoin, hang on for the ride. We're moving into the future, one block at a time. We're moving into the future, one block at a time.
Our adventure kicks off back in the summer of 1981. And that's because on August 21st, over in Southampton, New York, the world got a double dose of mischief. Tyler and Cameron were identical twins, and as they grew up, a very interesting trend began to emerge. Now, like most twins, Tyler and Cameron were pretty close. As the twins were growing up, they were displaying increasingly impressive examples of both teamwork and coordination. From building Lego sets to playing musical instruments and even teaching themselves to code in HTML and build websites, the twins displayed a high aptitude across the board. Coming from a well-to-do family, the twins were able to parlay their talents and ambitions into full-time enrollment at the prestigious Harvard University in the year 2000. In December of 2002, the twins and fellow classmate Divya Narendra came up with an idea to connect students at Harvard and other universities. What they came up with was an idea called Harvard Connection, which as a concept became so popular it was adopted by other universities around the nation. Eventually rebranded to Connect U, the twins started working on putting the site together in the fall of 2003. They really felt like they had something here, with the emergence of technology and the best target cohort to adopt it. Young, aspiring adults who were eager to adopt novel online innovations that allowed them to connect easier. Now, it's around this point in our tale that I'm going to be pointing out the obvious here. Most people know about the Winklevoss twins for one of two reasons: crypto or Facebook. For the sake of brevity, we're going to be focusing on the crypto side of their story. However, if you're curious about their early successes and the resulting drama that came out of Facebook, then I highly recommend you check out the movie called The Social Network, because it recounts these surreal events. It's fair to say that coming out of the Facebook Connect U debacle, the twins learned a lot. They decided to turn their lemons into lemonade and be ready to move into the next big thing as soon as it showed up. Sure, they may have not got their dues for helping make social media the global phenomenon that it is today. But the twins were resilient, and they knew that you only had one of two options in life when things weren't going your way. You either get bitter or you get better. They may not have owned Facebook, but in 2008, the twins received $65 million from Mark Zuckerberg in a settlement. The claim was that Mark Zuckerberg had copied their idea, including using some of the same code. The twins were now flush with cash, so now they just had to wait for the right opportunity. Well, in 2012, there was a knock at the Winklevoss's door, and when they opened it, opportunity was waiting on the other side. It started with the formation of Winklevoss Capital, who would provide funding for early stage companies who were showing real progress. It was on a holiday that year in Ibiza that the twins were introduced to Bitcoin, becoming fascinated by the technology. The more they looked into it, the more they liked what they saw. After just going through a very public ordeal over a tech innovation because of a third party that they trusted, seeing Bitcoin was like a breath of fresh air. There was no central authority in place, no contractor, founder, or employee to screw them over again. Heck, there wasn't even a company behind Bitcoin. By the time 2013 came around, the crypto markets were heating up with Bitcoin leading the charge. The twins weren't screwing around here, and in March they purchased upwards of 100,000 Bitcoin. And if you're curious, and I know you are, their average purchase price was around $120 US per coin. This constituted a whopping $11 million investment, which was quite a lot of money to put in Bitcoin at the time. These two were going big here, with their stack of Bitcoin equating to about 1% of the overall supply that was in circulation at the time. Just a few short months later, on May 17th, the world found out just how serious the twins were when it came to Bitcoin. It was announced that they led a seed funding round for a crypto exchange startup called BitInstant, raising $1.5 million US. They were in damn good company here because Bitcoin Jesus himself, Roger Ver, was a fellow investor. Beyond that, Charlie Shrem was their CEO and Eric Voorhees came on as a director of marketing. The exchange didn't last too long, unfortunately, experiencing problems by the summer of 2013 and shutting down completely by the start of 2014. This was in part due to the charges levied against Charlie Shrem by the Department of Justice. Oh, and the exchange got caught up in a class action lawsuit as well, so that probably didn't help. So while the venture itself didn't exactly work out as the twins intended, what it did do was put them into some pretty impressive crypto circles. And being as ambitious as we know they are, this allowed them to learn from the very best. They definitely remembered those lessons learned from BitInstant. And in 2015, they decided to take fate into their own hands. They kicked off 2015 with a bang, announcing their plans for Gemini, their own cryptocurrency exchange. After experiencing firsthand what happens when you launch a cryptocurrency exchange in the US without making regulations a priority, the twins had a very strong message behind Gemini's purpose. This would be a place for serious investors to experience world-class security. But on top of that, they'd have the knowledge that the exchange was playing by the rules in every locale it operated in. This meant that the twins were going to be taking the very long road when it came to getting an exchange off the ground. Lots of meetings with regulators, filing of paperwork, and fine-tuning relationships with financial institutions, and a heck of a lot more. The twins were determined to make it work though, and they wanted to do it in their home country of the United States. Zooming in further, the twins also wanted to see Gemini succeed in their home state of New York. There was just one problem, or let's say challenge, with this approach though. New York already had a brutal reputation when it came to financial and regulatory red tape. Getting a license to operate a crypto exchange in New York was considered either impossible or just simply not worth it. The twins, they didn't care. And eventually a year later, their persistence paid off. On October 5th, 2015, the New York Department of Financial Services granted Gemini a license to operate an exchange within New York. This was big news because, as we all know, New York is synonymous with big money. Now, the many wealthy investors that were living in New York could invest directly into cryptocurrency in a safe and secure manner. Just 3 days later, on October 8th, the exchange officially went live. This was a lot of work, time, money, and energy that was now all finally paying off. The exchange enjoyed a lot of early success, making news for all the right reasons. A year later, on September 21st, 2016, Gemini announced that they would be conducting the first ever Bitcoin auction. This went over so well that a year later, they actually opened up the event to include Ethereum. Now, there would also be daily Ether auctions to complement their daily Bitcoin auctions. And speaking of 2017, that was a pretty wild ride if you were an active cryptonaut. The entire year was this one gigantic bull market, which helped put the spotlight on one of the largest holders of the king of crypto. All of a sudden, the twins were being dubbed as the first Bitcoin billionaires. Not bad press at all. Tyler and Cameron just seemed to have a knack for business, and they showed it again in 2019. And that's because on November 19th, it was announced that Gemini had acquired Nifty Gateway, an up-and-coming NFT or non-fungible token exchange. NFTs weren't exactly killing it around this time either, as the industry was in the midst of a nasty crypto winter, still recovering from the hangover that took place in the bull market of 2017. However, by 2021, a new bull market was ready to start, and now NFTs were also ready for prime time. On a personal note, my companies have worked with Nifty Gateway in the past, and the experience has always been great. So even I myself have been conditioned to expect some pretty good stuff when it comes to the twins. Now, to be fair, it hasn't been all smooth sailing when it comes to Tyler and Cameron. In 2023, the SEC, or Securities and Exchange Commission, came after them with the obligatory selling of unregistered securities. They were able to avoid disaster, paying a $21 million penalty in March of 2024 to make the problem go away. To be honest, lately, that's been an ongoing issue for the twins, as ongoing spats with US regulators has forced them to start looking at other locales that are a lot more friendly when it comes to crypto. I really don't think anyone is very worried about this though, because if there's one thing that the twins have proven in crypto so far, it's that two heads are often better than one. I hope you enjoyed today's stroll down memory lane. Until next time, have fun and enjoy life, my friends. I'll be back soon with another incredible story to tell you.